Good morning, everybody. Many thanks for joining our webinar today. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Richard Bates and I'm the Sales Director at EBS. EBS effectively prides ourselves on being your experienced technology partner. For those of you that don't know us, EBS have been established nearly 45 years now. We're a long-standing Sage partner and we've spent over 30 years reselling Sage 50, Sage 200 in various different forms. We're also a Microsoft partner and we do the whole IT managed services piece as well, and mixing into that our own EBS cloud offering, which is perfect for Sage 200. Today we're showing you the latest version of CIM 200 and the manufacturing element that brings, and obviously the all the great stuff that it includes, things like Graphical Scheduler and the functionality that it's got. So before I pass you over to Juso from CIM Services, CIM Software, just quickly let you know that we are recording this session. It will be made available afterwards, so you can either watch it again or share it internally. We'll put that onto YouTube. There's lots of other really good videos on our YouTube channel as well, which I'd definitely recommend having a look at. We'll be taking any questions and trying to answer those at the end of the session. So if you do have any questions as we go through, feel free to pop them into the chat window. We'll consolidate them and answer those at the end. But right, that's probably enough of myself, and I'll pass you over now to CIM and let you see the latest version of CIM 200.
Thank you very much, Richard. Good introduction there. And CIM Services became CIM Software a few years ago, and we've been working with EBS for quite some time on 50 and 200 arenas. So they're familiar with both of our manufacturing solutions. But I'll start by sharing my screen. So I have a few slides to cover, but don't worry, I won't be boring you to death with my slides. But so today we are talking about CIM 200 manufacturing solution. So a couple of things about CIM. So how I will structure this particular presentation is, first of all, I will tell a little bit who we are, run through the CIM 200 timeline, give a little bit of an overview and tell about the modules within the product. Then I will run through the features or some of them on quite high level. So I tried to keep this quite short and sweet. You can ask any questions during the demo by putting the questions to the chat, or you can talk about that at the end. Who we are. So we are first and foremost a developing software developers. We've been working within manufacturing arena for over 30 years as a Sage business partner and a developer. We are the highest tier of Sage developers, called Sage Tech Partner Plus. So we have achieved that title or accreditation by Sage from our manufacturing solutions. So how CIM 200 came about is when we noticed that Sage 200 manufacturing hasn't moved in a long time, and we were getting pressure from our customers. We started developing our own software solution, CIM 200, and have followed the success of CIM 50, which is a manufacturing solution for Sage 50. So we started planning and coding in June 2019. In August, we finished the product and we had a beta testing going out for about 3 months. And we had an initial release on December 2021, and we've been taking it to the next level on our twice yearly feature releases. So CIM 200 is fully integrated manufacturing software for Sage 200 Professional, and what we thought of all along is that we want to keep the look and feel of that of Sage 200, so user wouldn't necessarily know that they are working on a separate solution to Sage 200. And we are compatible with a number of different add-on modules that are available from the Sage Marketplace. And we have migration tools from Sage 200, CIM 200, as well as a legacy software solution called InfoSwan. And now we are building up a migration tool from Sage 1000 to CIM 200 as well. What CIM 200 does is it utilizes the standard Sage financials, commercials, and bill of materials, but we have expanded on those areas. In particular, stock control, we have quite a lot of enhancements. On a bill of materials, we give more flexibility and access routes to different types of manufacturers. Also, works orders, which is completely our own module, and a planning with the MRP, which I talk about shortly in once we are going through the process. And we've done some enhancements on the commercials as well. Recently, we have released our own shop floor data capture module that we will have a brief look at as well. So if I jump on to the demonstration and run through the software on a very, very high level, as I said, I won't cover everything. Otherwise, we'd be there, would be going through this for hours in end, and no one wants to do that. So if I start by going into our stock control, so we have integrated with standard Sage stock control, but we have included number of different enhancements, which can be seen from, especially from the columns that you can select onto the list views. So we do aggregation methods, days, and so forth, maximum manufacturing quantities, and other notable things is quarantine inspections. So we will have a quick look at that in a moment. But first of all, we are still in the morning, so I'm still on my coffee is first and foremost in my mind. So I pick up the espresso machine from a data set, and I'm thinking about where Sage is and where we can enhance Sage and stock control especially is that we want to give you information on your fingertips at all times. So stock profile is one of the key features of CIM 200, and that will give you one-stop shop for all stock transactions that you have for it. So you will see what's your overall stock quantity, how many is allocated, how many you have free. You can view any orders that it might be. You might have we allow multiple dates on a sales order line. So that's another CIM feature, but you can have multiple delivery dates on a single sales order line. You can also see what works orders might require that, and we have a real-time stock projection where we think the stock will be, and if you have any demands, and so you will have a MRP stock projection as well. From here, you can go and view the stock records, view the stock item history, which takes you to standard stock item history screen. But we have included a couple of columns, including the warehouse and a quantity in the warehouse. So overall quantity and warehouse quantity. So we can go back 6 months and see what the stock position was overall and within a warehouse that that you wanted to look at. There is also some of the historical data that you can view, and this is accessible from a stock item in itself as well. So it defaults to last 12 months, but it gives you the purchased or manufactured quantities and values, as well as the sold quantities and values, and you can filter that to any financial year. And if you have any fluctuations in the cost price history, we have a graphics on the bottom displaying that, so you can have a nice visual view over that period. If I then jump into a stock item and have a look at what we have done there. So I'll get my washer dryer, and so over here, first notably, you can see we have quarantine, so we can enable the item to go into the quarantine on the order receipt. And I have blue beated something. It's a washer dryer that I've done. And it's already going into a quarantine of the purchase order goods receipt. So you can then set the defaults. You can always transfer stock into the quarantine if it's enabled on a stock item, but you can also make it to go into the quarantine, and you can have unlimited number of different quarantine warehouses depending on your location to service multiple warehouses. In case of you have a site in Birmingham and you might have a site in Southampton, you can then filter the quarantine for Southampton or Birmingham and action them accordingly. We have increased quite a lot in manufacturing and planning side of things, but one of the WIST products was an alert. So alerts for stock item. So when you are using this item, something like that, and you can choose where that pop-up will appear. It is like your supplier alerts in standard Sage, but now you can do that on a stock item level as well. There is also a audit log giving you an audit trail of all the transactions on that stock item and gives you the date and time, who did it, what was the old value, what is the new value. Commercials, again, the same thing, gives you variations. You can utilize customer part numbers, so different customers might order that with different or their own stock codes, which then translates to yours. We have byproducts, which can be pallets, scrap metal, offcuts, anything you wanted to keep a stock of, but there's just zero stock valuation on them. And on quarantine, we have taken it a step further than the most. So we have inspections, so you can have different inspection questions that can be defined by on the stock item level. And some of the questions might be mandatory that you have to answer. Some of them might not be. Some of might need the supervisor sign off. So there would be a restricted type of inspection question, and you can choose who can actually inspect that final inspection. In locations, we have introduced a warehouse hierarchy with the warehouse priorities in a similar way to what we have in bin priority in standard Sage. Okay. Couple of other things in stock control. So we have the customer part numbers list, which we can view. So you can see from here, different customers are utilizing different stock codes. We have rapid entry stock movements where you can add, write off, or do transfers on a stock record. So if I put my espresso maker there, I go, it's not available in my what I'm setting as a default. So I go from home, add to the home location, then I can go and add another item and send that to the showroom as well and put 5 in there. So you can have multi-line entry on adding stock, writing off stock, doing stock transfers. So you don't have to do individually. And this handles traceability as well. And you can do traceable items, stock takes. So you can actually print out stock, do them properly through the stock take. On quality control side of things, we had had an inspection template. So this is how it would looks like. So we tell when it was quarantined, how did it come about, where did it come from. So if I had a purchase order received inspection, how many it's waiting for to be inspected, what's passed, what's failed. And if we go and have a look on the inspection record, it will tell you where it came from. If some were rejected, we could actually generate a purchase order return, or if it came from a works order, we could generate a one-off rework works order with the full traceability maintained, as well as the operations for the item that would contribute to that batch or serial number. And you have a selection of rework operations. So it could be trimming, it could be retightening, it could be anything. So I have my inspection template that we saw on the stock item level. Then when we go and inspect them, we can go and say we inspected 2 out of my 10, say which ones. So that would be passing. I would go on to the next question. Are they in visibly good condition? There's a mandatory question, so I'm not going to bother answering that. But then we can give some readings and we can have some conditions. So if I add in a result of, so let's say I'm inspecting 3 on this one, my answer would be 6, and that would be nice and pass. If it would be 4, it would fail the inspection. If it goes to say 8, it would fail again. So we can build up the tolerances that we can work in and pass and fail on the inspections. And then we have the final where only on this occasion only one user can actually sign the inspection off and actually release any into stock. We keep the record of all of these tests, so it will tell you when it was tested, how many was tested, and by who. So you can keep a little bit of a log on that, and that will always stay within that traceable within that traceability, so you can trace back in 5 years' time who actually done an inspection if needed to. And from here, you can see where this item might be needed by. You can view the stock item from a little bit more in-depth analysis, again, the stock profile from here, and returns if you had any. There are other things in stock control, of which goods in transit being one, where you can define transit times between 2 locations. So if, for instance, if you have a site in China or warehouse in China, you transfer stock, it might take 8 weeks. That's when it's in a container on a ship, then that will be taken into account, and it goes into the holding warehouse, and you can get the valuation of that, whatever you have on as a floating stock. Any of the stock item fields can be made mandatory as well. Okay. But if I go into the carry on with the commercial modules and go into the sales order processing, so there are a few things that we have changed, and I run through that from a quotation because there's a bit more in the quotations than there is on sales orders itself. But if I raise first of all a quotation, yeah, so let's add add items now. So now you can see we have the customer part number field here, and it will be filtered for that customer with their customer part number. So if I pick this one up, say I want to have 5 of those, and what we can do from here, or we allow, if you have rights to do so, and it's a from item, you can create a works order on the back of the sales order. You have to go to a separate place to raise those for the quotation items. You have access to the stock profile, mention the multiple dates, so we can say that we wanted to deliver 2 today, and let's say reminder next week. And from here, you can again view the stock profile, but where it starts getting interesting is that you can start making configurations. So if it's a bill of material record or not, you can create one for it. So you could add components, you can add operations or amend operations, or you can copy from a bill of material record. So I can copy a full bill of material record from elsewhere. So what we have in quotations, in addition to Sage as well, which is not enabled on my system, is that we have a quotation revisions. So you can actually up version quotations. It's time if I use trusty old kitchen. So from here, I bought quantity. We can go and configure that quotation. Now I already have some components, I have some operations, and we keep a costing of that as well. And you can have markup percentages for different stages of a build, of different phases. So you can have your labor markups, your component markups and such like, and you can customize these and have a library of these against the customer. So you might have different markup percentages building up your sale price. And if I cost it for quantity 1, we will keep a costing history as well for the bill of materials. So you can go and interrogate what has changed in the process. You can build up quantity breaks, and if I would say if they order 10, my unit cost would be equivalent to the above. My markup percentage would be I have no rights to do that. And what we can say, we can have a discount percentage at 10% and discount value, unit prices, and so forth. And we can then print those out onto the quotation paperwork. If I save this now and create another item, which is a free text item. So we can now go and create a blank item, create a new bill of material for it. So add an operation, post it, and save. And now what we have for free text item, we have a bill of material which we can then at later date convert to a stock item and real bill of material if we wanted to. We could also convert that to a one-off works order without creating a stock code if you wanted to do so. Where it becomes even more relevant is where you're building up your quotations. There will be a costing analysis that's been run on the background of the the background all the time, so you will know what the costs are for different cost centers, as well as what the revenue is likely to be. So you can get your full quotation profitability easily visible from here. When we start into revision, we will build up a revision history over here, which is run. So we have a revision. When we first creating it, it would be a revision 1. If I go back and amend that quotation, now we have a little suffix there saying that it's a revision 1. And if I add a comment line from our quick text library that we have introduced, I have nothing there, so I will create a new library item. That will appear for SOP and POP. Okay, there we go. Now I can select that, and that will be ready for selection next time as well. So we can go and select that. We can edit that and so forth, and choose whether it's been shown in the documentation. So I add a comment line. No, it didn't have any value change. That doesn't matter. But when you go in and save, it will ask me whether I will like to save this quotation as a new revision. I say, okay, yeah, why not? So we can go and retrospectively go and view revision history. We can see from here now I have 2 options for the same one. If I go and amend that quotation, I will now have a revision history. I could convert the first iteration of that quotation into as a live one. So the new one will always become live, but you can convert any previous versions live as well. So that's most things in the sales order processing. On the purchase order processing, what we have is pretty much the quick text library, as well as supplier price breaks. On the bill of material records, if we have a quick look into those ones, is we have a few different types of different types of bill of materials. So it is utilizing standard sales bill of materials, but we have enhanced it with as a base item where you might make a mixture of something, let's say paint, but you decant it into different size vessels. So you can, on the back of one works order, you can make your mix and then you can decant it to 1 liter tubs, 2 liter tin, 5 liter tins, 10 liter trade packs, and so forth. But that's all on the back of one works order, and that takes into consideration of the completion item packaging materials, so that those tins will have a different value. So it will attribute those costs over to that as well. We have percentage bombs, where you can define your component list as a percentage. We have kit bombs, whereby you can form a build at the time of a sales order allocation, so you don't have to individually put all the items onto the sales order. You can just make a kit for it. So, let's say vehicle servicing kit might include fuel filter, oil filter, air filter, some oil, and so forth. But that's all on the back of one stock code. On the component side of things, few ISSTs like analysis codes. You have 20 analysis codes for the components as well as the operations. You can have operational nodes, which you can make on different sizes. You can make them pretty and pink. So you can have those nodes against the components or operations. Well, let's go first to the audit log. So we have a audit log that we have introduced. And then we have routes, multiple routes. So that's usually you're making it through this way. Sometimes your factory gets very overloaded. So we can actually just give them a give a different routing. So instead of building it in-house, I might take it down the subcontract route and send it to the subcontractor. And that can be controlled on a works order by works order level. MRP will always look at the default, but that will get you on. You can select it to subcontract on your capacity planning stage. If I save that. Also, from here on the back of trial kitting, you can raise orders, of course, as you do. You have your explosion, implosion, and maximum builds and such like. So nothing really unusual there. Is the key to our bill of materials enhancements is really the multiple routings as well as one to many works orders. So you have both options available to you. Before we go into the MRP and the capacity in more detail, we allow you to make for stock items. I'm not going to go into these now. We're going to arrange more further in-depth demonstrations on the back of this webinar as well. But then we have sales forecasts, which are importable and exportable. But what is quite nice from CIM planning is where if you want to schedule your MRP run, you can do that from the user interface. And we have renamed MPS to demand schedule. And you can run that on a schedule overnight as well if you wanted to. You don't have to run them manually before the scheduled MRP refresh overnight. MRP is fast. I did a test on customer data and MRP ran on say 200 manufacturing for about near 4 hours. We migrated the data into CIM, ran the MRP, and took less than 10 minutes. So it starts to become to a level where you can actually, at least in some circumstances, you will be able to run it during the day. So we allow you to run MRP during the day whilst everyone else is working on the system. So it doesn't affect anyone. And even the person who is running the MRP, let's put a little bit of time on it, can start running the MRP, minimize the window, and start progressing. So you could be entering sales orders, but the only tax on system performance will be against the machine that is actually running the MRP. So I come here on my data. This used to run about 5-6 minutes, so I could demonstrate this very nicely. But now it's running just over 10 seconds today. So that's what you can see. You can run the MRP also for specific stock records and specific sales orders, particularly if you have a big sales order, big works order, or ranges of sales orders or works orders. And on the MRP list view, you can easily see where the demand is coming from. We will also see if you have any replenishments. So we do have 6 in stock. We have a demand of works order. So therefore we are calculating to recommended order quantity of 18 on this particular occasion. We have output logs, takes a snapshot of every MRP run that's been run, and then it looks at it splits the error logs from the main log file as well for those who have experience on the error logs or MRP logs. Same as says 200 MRP, but we are separating the errors out. Yeah. Once you can combine split recommendations, you can action recommendations and all the child recommendations if there are any. So that is quite nice. I'm conscious that the time is starting to run out. So if I move over to the works order side of things, where it all comes together, whatever you set up on the stock items, wherever you do, how you set up your bills and materials once you run the MRP and so forth and so forth. But we see we have a number of works orders here. And let's take the top one here. This is my bench. I've selected that goes down the subcon route, but from here I could actually select that to go as an in-house build. Like I have another one here. It's exactly the same item, but one is having operations and one is having subcon as an operation. For subcontracting, well, actually, let's stay on this screen for 2 seconds. So you could see from here on the bottom that you can actually schedule the start and end times on operation level, and you don't have to have the operations starting and finishing. Well, next operation starting exactly the same time as previous operation starts. You can also see if there are any links to the parent orders, manufacturing instructions. We can have a look at how that looks on from a user SFDC user point of view in a second. And we have our own subcontracting area within the works order where you can raise the orders and such like, receive the orders. But we also have completely separate subcontracting area where we have all the subcon operations going through what is required, how many you have ordered, how many you need to order, what you have dispatched and what you received and so forth. So you could nicely work on that on the back of the link list view. On costing, we give as an original estimated and last estimated cost of the works order, and that actually feeds into if you're using project accounting as well. So we get the works order committed cost to be updated from original estimated to last estimated. So you will have a little bit more up-to-date project costings within the system. And then once you start booking in time and so forth, and materials, you will start getting the actual costs. And we have audit log for everything that has happened with the stock item, with the works order in itself. Okay, so let's have a look on how we are managing our work in the first place. So there are a number of different ways, but I'll focus on the scheduler to start with. So we have our graphical scheduler where you can group items by stock code, works order. It could be linked to a customer's sales orders, so you can view all the orders for a customer and so forth. And over here we see our operations running through with the color coding clearly showing the status of the works orders. So green shows that it's all on time, everything is happening nicely. Anything in orange would be late, or maybe if I manage to schedule this back, it will become on time and happy. Blue ones are subcontract operations, so you can actually manage your subcontract operations. displaying it from the resource side of things. So these are over here linked. So you could actually schedule that you are sending a bigger batch of items to a subcontractor if that's what you wanted to do. And here we have something that is yellow, which is within the save delete time, which is linked to a parent order, which is works order there. But because it's on time, we probably wouldn't need to do anything with it. However, if we move the job further on, and if you see these blue boxes on the screen, they're the only times that I can actually move these operations to, and those are my working times. And we do the working calendar. We have multiple working calendars depending on the resources that you have within the operation. So you can have the different calendars for different resources. So machine could be running for 24 hours a day, but employees only working 9 to 5. But if I move this operation here, it will then move the top level assembly as well. So we can't start the operation until that is there. Soft law data collection. So if I zoom in, so you don't have to be as high level as I've been. On this operation here, it shows the first bit is a little bit darker, so that's the progress bar of the operation. So once you're using, for instance, soft law data collection, and you start booking time against an operation, it will show on a schedule as well how far along you are. I can go into the detail. I can see duration is 6.5 hours plus half an hour of setup time. It's 2/3 done, and I can see what our previous operations, what is the next operation that it goes to, and if I had any notes against the operation, they can be viewed from here as well. This is only one view. I probably saw a bit of a spaghetti presentation on the bottom here. When it's zoomed in, it's a little bit easier to read, but over here we have some of our resources grouped together. So you can actually manage your production by resource, depending on how many you have available. Anything in red will mean that it's that there is a conflict, and this conflict it's indicating that we have a scheduling conflict here on within that resource as well. I know my why that is, but I will show you from our resource view what the reason is for that. So if I change my view to give you an understanding of the bottom side of the screen. So I have now my assembly tools. I will have to zoom out a little bit because all my works orders are miles out into the future. Right, here we go. So we can see I have how many resources I have available to me. I have 1. There I have 20 on the other line, and you can see there's multiple operations going through at the same time on that particular resource. What I will be able to do from here, because they are in the same resource group, I will be able to start scheduling my work away from my overloaded resource, and my system is far happier to do that. So moving them around. And that affects on my loading within those resources and machines. So whenever I'm moving things around, I can see on the bottom here, I'm actually overloaded for that particular resource for those times. And I would be able to go and investigate which works orders are contributing to that, how long they are requiring, and so forth. So you can start managing your capacity in that way as well. I have another one which is not loaded pretty much at all, so I can start moving my jobs over to that one where I have plenty of capacity. You can also increase loading into the machines in terms of a maintenance and such like. So you can schedule maintenance, making your shop floor not requiring any or not having capacity for, let's say you have an annual service of the CNC machine, you can book that one. Once everything is taken out, we can go into our shop floor data collection, which is a brand new module, which was released about a month ago now. But what it does is, if I put my reference and a PIN number, once it logs in, so you can go and you can issue stock, you can book an operation time, and you can complete works orders. So issuing stock, we could select a works order that we are issuing stock to. We can scan using barcodes. We can scan using a device camera. I'm working remotely. My virtual machine doesn't have camera installed, so I can't utilize my camera, but I have used it on my mobile phone. I have used it on a tablet. I've used it on barcode scanner. So it is pretty device agnostic, so you can use it on any device that has access to a modern browser, as well as is connected to the network. That's the only requirement. So I could select a works order from here, or I can scan it in. But on this one, and we could go and issue stock. We can overissue, we can underissue. You can complete works orders and go on issue stock after the completion, which is different to standard Sage. So can complete the works order and then you can go and issue stock retrospectively. So if I would issue stock, I could scan the stock code. Now I'm just copying and pasting it, but issue that handles traceability as well. But like say quantity required, I'm non-allocated, but with SIM it doesn't really matter. If you don't want to allocate, you don't have to. It's just an extra step that you would need to do otherwise. There's 26 already issued. What if I issue 4 now? And it goes and it feeds straight onto the works order within the system. I can also issue by a product. So if I would scan a stock item, and it will tell me where that is required, how many is needed, and what is my free stock for those. I could select all, but it will only go from the oldest to the newest if I selected it this way. If I move on to the operations, so I'm clocked on to a operation already. So there is an option that you can clock on to one or many operations at the same time simultaneously, but that is driven by settings, so you can choose how you do handling that. You can also have multiple employees clocking on to a single operation. Once you clock on to an operation, you can go and view details of that particular operation. So you get your manufacturing instructions pulled from the core system, and you also have operational notes, which are operation specific that you are clocked onto. What is quite nice is that you have access to memos from the shop floor data collection. So this was added by me a little while ago. I can add another, not very creative with my memos, but that's it against the works order. And now we're on a works order 1. So if I go and have a quick look on my works order, we can see it directly in the memos field here, and we will see who created it and when it was added. So you can have a dialogue, you can feed in information onto the works order that will be saved against that particular works order. So you can go and progress that way. Then we can go back. We could log off and say how many of that we have completed. And this is starting to build a timesheet that will be against the employee as well. So you get accurate timings, how much they have been working, when it was started, when they've been working on a particular operation. So all of that information is available, and we have a workspace, for instance. We have a couple, but this one shows who is actually logged in. Or we would have a list of employees who are logged onto the operations, whether they are actually logged into a browser or SFTC itself, and then there's a previous history for the employee, what time they started, finished any particular jobs, or you can select if they are working on a particular order. You can filter it down by that particular works order when they have been working on that job. I would now can offer a selection of works orders, or we can provide an option to scan. So I can select that I will be working on that works order. And now you can see we are working on two works orders simultaneously. So we allow that if it's allowed by your settings. So you can decide what you do. The final part of here is the completion of the works order. Doesn't have anything miraculous over there. Is just that you can complete the works order. Depending on the settings, you can complete works orders at any time. You can have them issued, unissued. If you complete and you haven't issued any components, you can still go retrospectively to issue components to the works orders if you allow that. You can enforce it to be fully issued as well. Okay. I know I've been bubbling along. I was hoping to keep this for about half an hour, but probably doubled it. So if you have any questions, I think now would be a good time. I think I covered what I wanted to. So please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm more than happy to answer to them.
I can't see that we've got any that have come in yet, Darren. I'm not sure whether you've had any questions ahead of the presentation today or not.
No, we don't have any questions.
Means you've done a fantastic job, I think, is what I would take from that. And showed everybody everything that they need to see.
Thank you very much. I easily get carried away, especially completely forgot about the future roadmap as well. Always happy to get excited about the product, having a look at the time, and it is run way too much in detail. I didn't even I've only been scratching the surface. But what is the future plan actually for CIM 200 is that we are bringing our carbon footprint calculator into the product on our next release, which is due out in August. It comes on the back of the CIM 50 carbon footprint calculator, which actually won us a SAGE Innovation of the Year award a couple of years ago. We also bring the multiple components list, which is similar to multiple routes, but now you can have different materials against the bill of material. Audit logs will come into the SOP and POP, and we have plenty of quarantine enhancements, including in-operation inspections with the templates that I just shared. Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, if there's no questions, I'll let Richard to wrap up.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, thank you very much. I mean, that was really useful, and really appreciate you going through it in such detail. Obviously, if there are any questions from anybody, I appreciate that's quite a top level demo, quite a quick demo. Feel free to contact us here at EBS. Also, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't promote our Thrive event that we've got on the 15th of May. Running from 9 till 4. It's at Moore Hall, Sutton Coldfield, so not a million miles away from Birmingham, just outside. We'd love to see you down there. We've got lots of different suppliers. CIM are going to be there on the day as well. and doing a presentation. So good opportunity to meet everybody at EBS, good opportunity to meet a few of our suppliers. If you do click and scan through, either write the link in or scan the QR code, it will take you through to our registration page, which is here. You can click on register for free for now, and obviously that will all be handled by Eventbrite, and it will send you through a little calendar invite that you can add into your calendar. On here is the agenda as well, so it just details what we're looking to talk about, which suppliers are attending, and some details about the venue as well. And if it's anything like last year, the catering is fantastic. So any excuse to have some nice food, but obviously, yeah, great opportunity to network, meet some of our other customers as well that are already using many of these products. So unless I've missed anything, or if anybody's got any other questions, we'll close today's session off. And yeah, thanks ever so much again for attending.